There's over 11 million active artists releasing music on streaming platforms right now. And every day, 5,000 new artists are added to that list, putting their sound out into the world, hoping for it to be heard. Like most, these new artists upload their songs to platforms consisting of billions of other tracks. 90% of these tracks getting less than 1,000 plays a year, and a very small percent that will never be heard. This seems pretty brutal, right? But there's a twist. Competition isn't the enemy, understanding it is. You don't need to be another random upload lost in a sea of millions. You need a strategy, creativity, and a skill that makes people actually want to listen to you. Today, we're going to start building your music career, step by step, one tutorial at a time. Walk through this journey with me from beginning to end while I teach you guys the ropes of music, from the mic to the camera to the audience. Let's do it. Music is more of a process rather than a talent, and that's probably one of the first things to be understood. Starting off rocky is pretty normal. I mean, most artists won't get a stream, reaction, or impression for a great part of their career. And when I say great, I mean pretty big portion of your career. It took a long time to even get 100 views. Now, music views and impressions, that's a long-term goal. The short-term goal, though, is right in front of you. Making music is simply more than finding a beat and talking into a mic. You have to actually go through with the entire process, finding your sound, finding your type of beats, and finding your niche in music in general. Now, this can be done through process of trial and error, or also it can be done through another route. This is the route that I took. When starting music, I was rushing to find a sound, grabbing any sound that sounded similar to what I liked at the time. Juice WRLD heavily influenced me in the start, but most artists take this route. And as a result, there's not a lot of versatility in the underground. So finding your sound will be essential to separate you from the rest. Now, like I said, it's easy to say and a bit harder to do, but this is what I did. In the beginning, when making music, I would force myself to listen to different genres. This would help me find what my voice worked best with. And in that process, I found that melodic guitar beats were kind of my lane. When I started uploading music and seeing if it would take off, those songs tended to do the best, and I stayed in that lane. Now, this is a good way to start, but eventually this can become a problem. You can run into a roadblock, and that is failing to be versatile. Most artists find a lane that they're good at and they stick with it, which is perfectly fine, but then it removes the room for experimentation. Being able to alter your vocals or alter your sound to adapt to any beats or any flow or any feature even is a great way to get better at music, and this only can be bettered by practice. Now, when it comes to finding your sound, I would say that's the hardest part. Next, you would have to get into the recording process. For me personally, I use this. This is the Focusrite Scarlett setup. It's been holding me down for about 3 years now, and I don't have any regrets in buying it. Now, this is all preference, so you don't have to buy it, but if you listen to my music and like what you hear, then you can have similar sounds with this equipment. Now, you'd probably assume the next step is actually making a song, but that would be jumping the gun. You gotta get a preset first. Well, one preset would kind of be underestimating it. You'd actually want a few. Here's going to be a quick breakdown of my presets, from ad-libs to main vocals to even my stabs, that you can use on your own music at any time. I actually have them linked in a bio below. I'm just going to show you how to use them real quick. Now, here's a track that I actually have released. It's called Going Up, but here it's titled Chaotic Drugs. It doesn't really matter. Its release titled is Going Up. But I chose this song specifically for the amount of autotune that it uses, and I'm going to show you a few things. Firstly, let's talk about the preset. The first thing I'm going to do is isolate my main vocals. For my main vocals at purple, my stabs at blue, and then my ad-lib and other things at cyan. Now, this is what it sounds like with no preset and no autotune. Every day I'm going up, hit the stoop, roll a two, I get high as fuck, don't get exhausted, baby. I know how she get when she off drugs, sticky tuck, what we on, let me show you love, let me put you on, what I'm on, these chaotic drugs, Okay, so that was no autotune and no effects, but now I'm gonna add the effects. Every day I'm going up, hit the stoop, roll a two, I get high as fuck, don't get exhausted, baby. I know how she get when she off drugs, sticky tuck, what we on, let me show you love, let me put you on, what I'm on, these chaotic drugs. Now, there is a big noticeable difference, and this is kind of a trust the process thing. But once we slap that autotune on there, you're gonna hear an entirely different person almost. Here, let me show you. Every day I'm going up, hit the stoop, roll a two, I get high as fuck, don't get exhausted, baby. I know how she get when she off drugs, sticky tuck, what we on, let me show you love, let me put you on what I'm on, this chaotic drug. So, by separating those three stages, you see how each is essential to the next, and how they all come together to form a final product, and that is your vocal chain. And if you're a bit observant, you can see the vocal chain has fades among all of the vocals. And that is something I'm going to kind of point out in the next video. This video will be just as simple as laying vocals on the beat, where the next one is going to kind of be breaking that down. But after hearing all that, it kind of gives us a better understanding of what the final product could be. Here, let's listen. Every day I'm going up, hit the stoop, roll a two, I get high as fuck, don't get exhausted, baby. I know how she get when she off drugs, what we on, let me show you love, let me put you on what I'm on, this chaotic drug. Okay, now that we have a vocal chain on lock, it's time to get to the next layers. And then we're going to go into the stabs. Your stabs are probably going to be your most quietest layer out of the bunch. And that doesn't mean it has to be all the way lowest in volume, but it does mean that it's going to be your lowest volume out of all of your layers. And stabs are kind of just background emphasis. That's kind of the best way to put it. Here, let me show you an example. This is with a stab. Every day I'm going up, hit the stoop, roll a two, I get high as fuck, don't get exhausted, baby. I know how she get when she off drugs. If you hear that little echo in the background, that's what to look out for. Now let me show you without the stabs. Every day I'm going up, hit the stoop, roll a two, I get high as fuck, don't get. You can see how the vocals without the stabs is a bit more bland, and that is a very noticeable difference when listening to music with headphones. So make sure you have a lot of depth in your music. Stabs is a part of that depth. Now, let's get into the ad-libs. Your ad-libs are going to be the layer where your volume is the most varied. Your ad-libs can either be super loud or super quiet, just depending on the vibe of the song. But usually, they're kind of in the middle between your stabs and your main vocals. Ad-libs are kind of self-explanatory. It's just that extra background noise after your vocals, leading or following, that makes it sound that much more better. Here, let me show you. Don't get exhausted, baby. I know how she get when she off drugs. Sticky tuck, what we on? Let me show you love. Let me put you on what I'm on. This chaotic drug. Now, like I said, it's kind of a quieter layer in the background, but you can still hear the all that extra shit, you know? All of that matters, so make sure you're doing that. And then my final layer is also another ad-lib / stab layer. This is just to add more depth, and it's kind of just hums. But like I said, everything counts when you're making music. So just take a listen. Every day I'm going up, hit the stoop, roll a two, I get high as fuck, don't get exhausted, baby. I know how she get when she off drugs. It's just as simple as a whoa, whoa, whoa in the background. But like I said, it brings the song to the next level. Now that we understand what each layer does, it's time to break down the presets themselves. Let's get into it. One thing about my presets is that I've been blessed enough to have a few presets on the Bandlab training tab. One specifically has been on there for 3 years straight and never left. Let me show you. My purple main vocals. This is my friend, my best friend, my lover when it comes to music, bro. Like, I can't leave it. This is the best vocal chain that you can have for Bandlab, and I'm not even joking. This is the vocal chain that I use for legit every single song. I don't think that I've changed it for the 3 years that I've had it, just because it works so well. But the preset itself is self-explanatory. You just have to try it for yourself. And also give me feedback, because just because it works for me does not mean it works for everybody. And tweaks can be made. And if you do want the updated or tweaked version of this preset, make sure to join my Discord. All my updates are there. Next, we're going to get into my other presets. And this is going to be for my stabs. For my stab layer, I use, purple stabs. This layer has miniature reverb tweaks and a lot of vocal chain tweaks that make it so essential for stab usage. Now, like I said, this is all preference, but for me, this is my go-to. And lastly is my purple ad-libs or my in and out ad-libs. These are my 2 favorite ad-libs. Let me show you them. The in and out ad-lib has a crazy effect to where it goes in one ear and out the other. Like literally in your headphones in real time, you can hear the vocals doing it. And then the purple ad-lib effect is kind of just a phone call effect. And that's like the best way to word it, like a radio phone call effect. It also works super well. These aren't all of my presets though, so again, if you do want to get my presets, make sure to join my Discord. And now that we have a pretty good basis of how to get our sound transferred to a beat with the correct presets and the correct order, it's about time to start mastering and mixing and actually understanding what to do in that musical process. But that'll be for the next video. I really do appreciate you guys for tuning in with me. I love you. And this shit took so long to edit, so please show some love. Also, join my Discord. Follow me on Instagram and TikTok. Also, follow YouTube. I go live every day at 5 p.m. Central. So if you guys want to see a live studio session or just some crazy fun content, tap in. You guys have a good one.